Oh, hey there, pal. Good to see ya. So, I was just going to set up my Dreamcast development environment today, and I thought you might want to tag along. So, you can see I'm running Linux Ubuntu here. Let me make that a little bigger for you. So, running Ubuntu, and it looks like I'm running Linux Mint because I've added the Cinnamon front end to Ubuntu here, so it doesn't look like Ubuntu, but it actually is Ubuntu. So that's what I'm doing if you want to play along at home. I'm going to be installing KalistiOS or Kalistios or Kalistios. I'm not sure if there's a canonical pronunciation there. You can also just call it KOS. This is a fantastic set of development tools built by the community, so this is not built by Sega. This is all community built, and it's really impressive, honestly. So we're going to set that up today. We're going to install KalistiOS. We're going to download the source and build it from source. And then we're also going to do the same with KOS utils. So those are libraries that work with KOS to expand the functionality. We're also going to build the example programs. And in a later video, we're going to go ahead and run our built programs. We can run them against real hardware. And it's also possible to run these in an emulator. It's always going to be more accurate to do actual hardware. And also, it's just good vibes. So let's get building here. We've got a couple of prerequisites we're going to need. I'm going to make sure I have Git and Visual Studio Code installed. So let's check what version of Git is installed. We have none. So let's do that. I can spell sometimes. Okay, let's see how that went. All right, no problem. So that command was sudo apt install git. So yeah, let's check if we have Visual Studio Code installed. I'm just going to try and launch it. That did not work. So let's do a snap install on this one. And that does not work in this case. The way this is built, we're going to need the classic tag, so I'm going to add that. Okay, let's just make sure that's installed. And we look good. Let's set that aside for later. The other thing to know is there's a website called Dreamcast.wiki. Dark runs this. Dark also mods a wonderful Discord. Those guys have helped me out a lot, and I'm sure this will help you out a lot as well. But I'm just going to follow along with these instructions. So there's a lot of good reading you should do in here, but they've documented some prerequisite packages we'll need installed. So I'm going to go ahead and install all of these now. Goes pretty fast. So while that's going, let's continue looking on the wiki here. The next thing we're going to be doing is making directories for our Dreamcast development tools. So these are just going in a standard location. That just keeps things a little less complicated. If you really want to install these somewhere else, you're always welcome to, but you might have to hunt around for some configs as to where things are being looked for. So really the smart money is on just using the recommended locations here. So it looks like our other prerequisites completed here. So let's go ahead and make those directories. Then we can go ahead and navigate to those directories. So those are empty, but they're there. So the next thing we're going to be doing is actually installing the KalistiOS code. Really, the current recommended stable version is 2.2.x. You might want to check this page and make sure that's still the case whenever you're doing this. But that's what I'm going to clone. You could also clone to master. Master is the latest code, but it's not necessarily stable, right? So generally you want to use the stable version. You might use master if there are changes that are in master, but they're too new to be in the latest stable version. That's not, most things. So unless you have a good reason to be on master, or maybe you're contributing to the KOS repo, probably just stick to stable. So let's give this a shot. Okay, easy peasy. Now we're going to navigate to the DC chain directory. And what's in here? Okay, so we can configure some options in makefile config. Really, we're going to want to copy the default file here because we're using stable, and copy that to makefile.cfg. What's in makefile? There's some stuff in there, right? Okay, I've just opened VS Code here. I'm gonna look at this right in here. Makefile CFG. Okay, nothing too crazy. So let's make a makefile CFG. There it is. And let's paste in the default. Okay, so we can do things like change the number of jobs. That might get us better compilation performance. So I've got a few cores on here. I think I can set this to 8. I think I have 8 cores, 16 threads. We'll see if I regret this. I don't think we really need to change anything else right now. Okay. Downloading and compiling the toolchain. All right, now we just run make. So let's kick that off. This may take some time, as I recall. So let's look ahead a bit. After we run make, we can just clean up any temporary files we don't need anymore that were kind of intermediate files. But we're going to set up the environment settings. Okay, so we'll put in place the environment sh script. And then this is important. After we've built everything, every time you start, like say restart your computer, restart your terminal, every time you have a session where you're doing Dreamcast development, you're going to have to rerun this script. This is doing things like setting up environment variables, things like that. So you're going to have to run this every time. So I like to keep that in my notes so I have it handy. That's going to come up a lot. Okay, looks like we just finished compiling. We just ran make. Let's go ahead and make a clean. Do a clean. Make clean dist clean. Okay, easy peasy. Now we're going to go to the KOS directory. And you can see there's a sample environment file. And we're just going to copy the one that exists to be our current environment file. Okay, now let's go ahead and run that environ sh script. That'll get our environment ready. Now we're going to make KOS itself. What we were actually doing before was the DC toolchain. So now we're going to do KOS proper. And excuse me, I said KOS utils earlier. It's actually KOS ports. So let's run make, and we'll build KOS. Looks like that's completed. Our next step is actually to build to clone KOS ports from Git, so that'll download it to our computer, and that's going in opt toolchains DC KOS ports. So just a sibling to this. So let's do that, nice and quick. Now let's build all. So this will build all of the ports. Doesn't take too long. May as well build all of them. You never know what you're going to need. There's some cool stuff in here, right? So we can see there's SDL. This is an OpenGL implementation, I believe. Maybe you want to deal with some JPEGs, right? There's libraries for that. MP3s, all kinds of stuff in here. So these can be pretty essential, actually. Looks like we're getting a few warnings in there, but who are we to throw stones? So I recognize a few of these in here, and it's actually also building the example programs that come with KOS ports right now. So when I say programs, it's essentially games, right? Those are programs we can run on the Dreamcast. They're examples, so they're not full games, but they will be runnable. In addition to the KOS ports examples, there are also examples specific to KOS proper. We're going to build those next. Looks like we built KOS ports. So let's go ahead and build the KOS examples from KOS proper now. We'll just cd to that directory and make. Okay, those all built. We can explore the directories a bit. So we can see there's all kinds of examples in here. One example I've found useful is second mix. This is an interesting example because I guess you might say it's a multimedia demo, right? So we've got a little bit of 3D graphics, some text font rendering, there's music playing. So it's a cool example to just sort of give you a demonstration of a few different things all in one. And it's, you know, somewhat visually interesting as well. So this is the directory. We can see all the code for this is really in this one C file. And, you know, it's not quite 1,000 lines. We've got this all built. We can actually see there's an elf file here, second mix elf. That is actually like the built executable for our program. So that's what we would want to run. If we're running against hardware, we would run that directly. And if we're running against an emulator, we may have to convert that to a CDI, for instance, a CDI image file before we can get the emulator to run it. So this is mission accomplished, folks. A bit anticlimactic, but we've built it. We've got our KOS environment set up. We have KOS built. We have KOS ports built. We have the examples built. You know, next time, let's get into running them. All right, thanks for following along, and I'll catch you on the flippity flip.